Welcome. So in this video we will learn all about the legal and quality standards laid down by Government of India. Now every country has its own set of legal and quality standards, and at the international level we have codex standards given by Codex Alimentarius Commission. And so if anyhow we could able to harmonize our standards with the codex standards, then it will be obviously helping in the international trade of foods. Now in India we have mostly two types of standards which govern the sale of foods, including the milk and milk products, and these two standards include the legal standards. These two types, one is legal standards and the other is the quality standards. So legal standards are mandatory, they are mandatory, whereas the quality standards are the voluntary standards. Means it's one choice to go for the quality standard. If one able to fulfill the requirements or the prerequisites of the standards, then it's choice. But legal standards are mandatory and to be as per the law that these standards are mandatory. And what are the specifications? They include both type of standards that we will cover in the coming slides. So legal standards, if you see in our country, that it is in India, it is FSSAI which lay down these legal standards, FSSAI, and voluntary standards are all of the BIS and AGMARK. Okay, now legal, what do you do, how will you define legal standard? That legal standards means the specifications or the requirements which pertain to the law of government, which is pertain to the law of government, are set up by government to meet certain minimum requirements in terms of chemical quality, bacteriological quality, and labeling and packaging requirements. So this is the definition. So these are the specifications or the requirements which are pertain to the law of government, are set up by the government to maintain minimum requirements in terms of chemical quality, bacteriological quality, and labeling and packaging requirements. And in our country, legal standards are given by FSSAI under FSSAI 2006, that is Food Safety and Standards Act 2006, and Food Safety and Standards Rule 2011, under the authority known as FSSAI, Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, whose headquarters is at New Delhi. Okay, so what do you mean by legal standards? Again, repeating that these are the specification or the requirements which pertain to the law of government and are set up by the government to meet minimum requirements in terms of chemical quality, bacteriological quality, labeling and packaging requirements. And these are of course are given under the FSSAI and FSSR 2011 and under the authority that FSSAI was headquartered at New Delhi. And earlier this Food Safety and Standards Act was called as Prevention of Food Adulteration Act, and also FSSR was called as PFA, that is PFA rules. And PF Act came in the year 1954, PF rules came in the year 1955, and now we know that FSSAI Act that came in 2006, rule came in 2011. FSSAI was established in 2018 under this Act 2006, that is Food Safety and Standards Act 2006. The FSSAI was established in the year 2018. Rule came in the year 2011. Now legal standards or FSSAI standards, they prescribe the minimum requirements for all type and categories of foods. The minimum requirements were to be fulfilled by each and every type of food that is being sold in India is that standards are given by the FSSAI. Now these standards are consistent with the minimum quality that is attainable under Indian condition by majority of the farmers, producer, processor, and sales agencies. You know that these standards are difficult to be maintained or difficult to follow. These are easily attainable under Indian conditions by majority of farmers, producers, processors, sales agencies. So again repeating, these standards are consistent with the minimum quality that is attainable under Indian conditions by the majority of farmers, producers, processors, sales agencies. Now further, any food that does not conform to the minimum standards laid down by the legal rules is said to be adulterated. So if any food is not fulfilling the minimum standards that are being laid down by FSSAI, then it's said to be adulterated, and irrespective of whether anything has been added or removed from the original food. Irrespective of purity, anything that has. Now important point is that what parameters to be considered while fixing the legal standards. So question is that what parameters to be considered while fixing the legal standards. Now there are 6 major parameters which should be taken into consideration while fixing legal standards. One is purity, composition, additives, efficiency of processing, bacteriological quality, packaging and label requirements. So under purity, the first that point to be considered is the purity. There should be a mention of purity in clear terms. Whether anything can be added or removed from the original food should be clearly specified in the rules. कोई चीज़ हम ऐड कर सकते हैं या रिमूव कर सकते हैं ओरिजिनल फूड से, वो हमें क्लियरली स्पेसिफाई करना होता है रूल्स में, तो वो पार्ट होता है प्योरिटी का. तो फर्स्ट पॉइंट टू बी कंसिडर्ड व्हाइल फिक्सिंग द लीगल स्टैंडर्ड इज द प्योरिटी. द सेकंड इज composition. Then certain composition criteria should also be clearly specified in the rules as to what should be the minimum level of components in a given type of food product. So we know that fat and requirement of different types of milk are given, and different composition requirement for products are given. So for example, fat and essence content in milk, fat in whole milk powder, cream, paneer. Similarly, moisture in ghee, butter, skim milk powder. Likewise, all composition requirements should be specified for the all dairy products. That is the composition parameter. That certain composition parameters should be clearly specified in the rules. So as the minimum level of components, what would be the level of different components which are present in the food, that should be specified for all dairy products. This is the second parameter to be considered, composition. Then third is additives. So if any additive are required to be added to the food to improve its quality, stability, flavor. Quality, stability, flavor, these should be clearly specified in the rules with respect to their levels. For example, we know that if certain additives are permitted in, like niacin in cheese is permitted. Earlier BHA was permitted in ghee, butter and whole milk, and now it is no more permitted. But just to give you, just to tell you that if something is being permitted, that to be mentioned clearly specified in the rules with respect to their levels also. And then fourth point is efficiency of processing, that it should be clearly specified in the rules as to what type of test have to be performed to check the efficiency of heat processing given to milk. So we are giving heat processing treatments to milk and products like heat, that pasteurization, sterilization, and what test to be conducted to check the efficiency of these processing. Like we know that alkaline phosphate test is used should be negative for the pasteurized milk, and then the turbidity test should be negative for the sterilized milk. So these to be specified in the rules, that efficiency of processing, what test to be conducted to check the efficiency of processing, that also to be mentioned in the rules. Now coming to bacteriological quantity, obviously the permissible limits of for coliform count, total bacterial count, yeast and mold count should also be clearly specified in the rules. So bacteriological quality, that is permissible limits for coliform count, that is SPC, yeast and mold count, that should be clearly specified in the rules. Now sixth requirement is packaging and label requirement. So what type of packaging material to be used for what type of products, and also what should be indicated on the labels, that also to be mentioned in the requirements. That it's written that there should be mentioned in the rules as to what type of packaging material to be used for what type of food, what type of packaging material to be used for what type of food, and what should be indicated on the labels, like quantity, price, manufacturing date, expiry date, etc. Nowadays nutritional facts are also to be given on the label. So these are the 4 parameters to be considered while fixing the legal standards. So what are those? I am again repeating. First is the purity, that it should be clearly mentioned whether anything could be added or removed from the product, that is purity. Composition, that minimum requirement of the various components, fat, essence, that should be mentioned, that moisture content, and some physical chemical constants are there, then also that to be mentioned in the rules. So composition, all the compositional parameters to be mentioned, what is the minimum requirement, what is the maximum requirement, that to be mentioned in the rules. Then additives, if any additive is required, like niacin, cheese and BHA, if earlier was permitted in the ghee, that also to be mentioned in the rules. Now to check the efficiency of processing, which test to be conducted, that also to be specified in the rules. And minimum quantity of SPC, coliforms or yeast and mold count, or any pathogenic organisms, if that are relevant, that also to be clearly specified in the rules. Now what type of packaging material, what type of food, for what type of food can be used, and what to be written on the labels of the packaging material, like quantity, price, manufacturing date, expiry date, even nitrogen fact can also be written on the labels. Now these are one is, this is the BIS mark and this is the AGMARK, just to show you how the marks looks like. And then coming to quality standard, so we have seen the legal standard. These are the specifications which are laid by the government and set up by the government of India to maintain the minimum requirements of the chemical, bacteriological, and labeling and packaging requirement, whereas the quality standard means those specifications which are laid down by the government of some expert body constituted by the government for the purpose of producing high quality products. So here focus is on producing high quality products. So while legal standards are compulsory, quality standards are not compulsory. They are on the voluntary basis. It's one choice to go for the quality standard if one be able to meet the requirements or the prerequisite of the standards. Now in our country we have two types of quality standards. One is BIS standard and there is AGMARK standards. Both of these are above the FSSAI legal minimum standards. So because these are meant for the producing high quality products, so these are above the FSSAI legal minimum standards, and both of these are useful for producing export quality products. BIS standards deal with many types of processed food products apart from non-processed products, food products also. Similarly, AGMARK standards deal with many types of food, mainly with the raw agriculture produce, for example, cereals, oils, seeds, spices, eggs, legumes, ghee, butter, etc. Among the dairy products, for the purpose of quality standards, ghee and creamy butter are covered under AGMARK. Rest are the dairy products are covered under the BIS. So, dairy products वो सिर्फ घी और क्रीमी बटर ही AGMARK के अंदर जो है कवर होते हैं, बल्कि बाकी सारे जो डेयरी प्रोडक्ट्स हैं वो BIS में कन्वर्ट होते हैं और ये सारी क्वालिटी स्टैंडर्ड्स हैं. Now, as stated earlier, AGMARK and BIS are voluntary and not compulsory, but in 1987, BIS has made it compulsory or mandatory for certain items to have ISN mark. जैसा कि बताया कि BIS और AGMARK वैसे तो वॉलंटरी है, लेकिन BIS ने 1987 में कुछ आइटम्स के लिए BIS स्टैंडर्ड को मैंडेटरी कर दिया. ठीक है, वो कौन कौन से आइटम्स हैं, जैसे फूड कलर्स और फूड एडिटिव्स हैं, वनस्पति है, कंटेनर्स फॉर पैकिंग है, मिल्क पाउडर एंड कंडेंस मिल्क है. देयरफॉर फॉर दीज टू मिल्क प्रोडक्ट्स, दैट इज मिल्क पाउडर एंड कंडेंस मिल्क, इट इज नाउ कंपल्सरी टू हैव ISO mark. So if somebody asks you that which are the two dairy products which are mandatory to be covered under BIS standards, which are mandatory to have the BIS standards, these are the milk powders and the condensed milk. That was done in 1987. Now question is, why do we need legal and quality standards? We have now know that what are legal standards, what are quality standards, and we now need to know why do we require this. So main purpose of these standards is to protect the interest of the consumer, although in a way the interest of manufacturer also get protected, because it is, if a certified product with some quality mark is there in the market, it will sell more as compared to the uncertified one. So one is to protect the interest of consumer as well as the of the manufacturer. Manufacturer will get the more sales and consumer will have the good quality product. And moreover, customers also wants to be sure about the quality. He does not mind to pay a little more for an assured quality product, certified product. So a customer wants to be sure about the quality. Now furthermore, someone has to protect the interest of the consumer. They should not be left at the mercy of manufacturer who is ignorant about the quality. Someone has to protect. So that's why legal and quality standards are required. Now consumers should get a product pure quality, free from pathogenic organisms, also free from harmful substances like pesticides, antibiotics, heavy metals, and toxins. And that is also the reason that why do we require the legal and the quality standards. So it's the duty of government to fix legal standard to protect the interest of consumer, and also to fix quality standards. Legal standard to protect the interest of the consumer, and quality standard to improve the quality of the product to a high degree above the minimum legal FSSAI standards. So it's the duty of government to fix the legal standard to protect the interest of the consumer, also to fix the quality standards so as to improve the quality of product to a high degree above the minimum legal standards. Now coming to composition of FSSAI. So as we know that FSSAI was established on 5th September 2008 under the FSSAI Act, that is Food Safety and Standards Act 2006. FSSAI has its headquarters at New Delhi. It has 4 regional offices located in Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai. Now FSSAI has 1 chairperson and 2 members. Out of these 22 members, 1/3 shall be women. And FSSAI, we know that it falls under the Directorate General of Health Services, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Ministry of Health and Family. We have seen that AGMARK falls under the category of Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare, whereas FSSAI falls under the Directorate General of Health Services, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Now out of these 22 members, 7 members should not be below the rank of Joint Director Secretary to Government of India, to be appointed by central government to represent ministries or departments of central government dealing with agriculture, commerce, consumer affairs, food processing, health, legislative affairs, small scale industries. So 7 members should not be below the rank of Joint Secretary to Government of India, and to be appointed by central government to represent the ministries or departments of central government dealing with these departments. Now 2 representatives from food industry must be there, of which one shall be from the small scale industries. 2 representatives from the consumer organizations must be there. 3 eminent food technologists or scientists must be there, and 5 members to be appointed by rotation every 3 years to represent states and union territories. 2 person to represent farmer organization, 1 person to represent the retailer organization. So out of these 22 members, so I've told you that these members belongs to different departments: food industry, consumer organization, food technology, scientist. The 5 members to be appointed by rotation every 3 years to represent states and union territories. 2 persons to represent farmer organization and 1 person to represent the retailer organization. Now just to tell you that the FSSAI also lays down procedure and guidelines for notification of accredited lab as per ISO 17022. So FSSAI also lays down procedure and guidelines for notification of accredited lab. Now FSSAI notified laboratories are classified as FSSAI notified and enable accredited labs. There are 112 in India, state labs 72 and referral labs 22. So there are 22 referral labs which have been notified currently by FSSAI. So this is also one of the statutory power of FSSAI to lay down procedure and guidelines for notification of accredited lab as per ISO 17025, and there are currently 22 referral labs that have been notified by FSSAI. Now, as already told, that FSSAI has one CEO not below the rank of Additional Secretary of India. He should not be below the rank of Additional Secretary of India, who acts as the member secretary to the authority. CEO or member secretary of FSSAI is the CEO, and Apurva Chandra is the current chairperson of FSSAI. Apurva Chandra is the current chairperson of FSSAI, and Ganji Kamla Veero is the current CEO of FSSAI. So Apurva Chandra is the current chairperson and Ganji Kamla Veero is the current CEO for FSSAI. Now if you see that the objectives of FSSAI, there are 2 main objectives. One is to lay down the science-based standard for the articles of food based on research, based on science, to lay down the science-based standards for the articles of food, and also to regulate the manufacture, storage, distribution, sale and import of articles of food to ensure availability of safe and wholesome food for the human consumption. So lay down science-based standards and also to regulate the manufacture, storage, distribution, sale and import of articles of food to ensure availability of safe and wholesome food for the human consumption. Now, and coming to enforcement of Act, FSSAI at the central government level and state food authorities enforce the various provisions of the Act. So FSSAI at the central government level and state food safety authorities enforce the various provisions of the Act under the at the state level, state food safety authorities enforce, and then at the central level, FSSAI enforce the FSSAI Food Safety and Standards Act. Now coming to types of license, so we know that any food business operator is there. He has to take license for carry out the business from FSSAI. Now if he is a petty FBO, then having turnover level of less than 12 lakh per annum, then he can go for petty license, that is petty license. That is simply the license having the turnover. Now if you want to have a state license, then if you operating in one state and having turnover less than 20 crores per annum, then he can have the state license. And if food business operator is operating in more than one state or having turnover more than 20 crores per annum, or involved in the import or export, or having premises located at central government establishments such as railways, airports, seaports, defense, then he has to take the central licenses. So 3 type of license for Patti FBO, that who's having simply he has to take license from FSSAI, that is with state turnover less than 12 lakh per annum, and for having the state license, food business operator who is operating in one state and having turnover less than 20 crore per annum, and central license is food business operating in more than one state having turnover more than 20 crores per annum, or in import export, or having premises located at central government establishments such as railways, airports, seaports and defense. Now सेंट्रल एडवाइजरी कमेटी FSSAI के पास एक सेंट्रल एडवाइजरी कमेटी भी है, ठीक है. इट इज द सेंट्रल एडवाइजरी कमेटी which advises the FSSAI on all matters arising out of the administration of the FSSAI 2006. It is very heavy committee. People from all ministries and departments are representative of this committee. CEO, that is the member secretary of FSSAI also, that is we have seen that with the chairperson of CSC. So who is the CEO? We have seen that current CEO is the Ganji Kamala Veero is the CEO for FSSAI, and he is also the chairperson of the Central Advisory Committee. Earlier in PFA there was CCFS, that is Central Committee for Food Standards. Now it is Central Advisory Committee for a similar purpose. So it is the Central Advisory Committee which advises the FSSAI on all matters arising out of the administration of FSSAI Act 2006. Commissioners of Food Safety. State government appoints Commissioner of Food Safety for the state for efficient implementation of food safety and standards and other requirements laid down under this act and the rules and regulations. Now commissioners of food safety have powers to appoint DO, designated officer, food safety officer, food analyst, in turn of students. So but mean to say that state government appoints commissioner of food safety for the state, which in turn can appoint DO, appoints the DO, food safety officer and the food analyst. Now question comes, if a food sample, what is the procedure for collection and analysis of FSSAI food sample? What is the procedure? Say food safety officer collects the sample from the market. What is the procedure to be followed for the ultimate for the product to be get tested for analysis and to see whether the manufacturer or the food business operator is obeying the rules or not, or meeting the requirements of the FSSAI or not, the product is meeting the requirements of FSSAI or not. So under FSSAI, food samples are collected by food safety officer, earlier called food inspector in PFA. Now businessman from whom the food sample is taken is called food business operator. After collecting the sample, food safety officer divided the sample into 4 parts. So first one sample is sent for analysis to food analyst in food lab under the intimation to DO. Usually the CMO is the DO itself. So one sample is sent to the food analyst in food lab. The 2 parts are sent to the DO for safe custody, that is designated officer for safe custody, and the remaining part is sent for analysis to an accredited lab if so requested by the food business operator, that is again for its satisfaction, amount to be paid by him only, again under intimation to DO. So intimation to be done given to DO. So again repeating, the food safety officer collect the sample. Food safety officer sample को collect करता है, 4 पार्ट्स में उसको बांटता है, ठीक है. फर्स्ट पार्ट जो है आपका फूड एनालिस्ट के पास जाता है एनालिसिस के लिए, अंडर द इंटिमेशन टू डेजिग्नेटेड ऑफिसर, और सेकंड और थर्ड पार्ट जो है वो डीओ के पास जाता है, डेजिग्नेटेड ऑफिसर को केस दैट इज सेफ कस्टडी के लिए. और जो आपका फूड सैंपल है वो आपका किसी भी एक्रेडिटेड लैब में जा सकता है, और वो तभी जाता है जब अगर आपका फूड बिजनेस ऑपरेटर रिक्वेस्ट करता है, वो उसकी सेटिस्फेक्शन के लिए, अगर कोई एडवर्स रिपोर्ट कल को आती है तो वो उसको यूज़ कर सकता है अपनी सेटिस्फेक्शन के लिए, एक बार फिर वेरीफाई करने के लिए उसको वो जो है यूज़ कर सकता है. तो इसकी पेमेंट भी फूड बिजनेस ऑपरेटर को करनी होती है. द रिमेनिंग पार्ट इज सेंट फॉर द एनालिसिस टू एक्रेडिटेड लैब इफ सो रिक्वेस्टेड बाय द फूड बिजनेस ऑपरेटर अंडर इंटीमेशन टू द डीओ. Now food analyst has to send the report of analysis within 14 days of the receipt of the sample. Food analyst को जो 14 days में एनालिसिस रिपोर्ट देनी है, और अगर वो नहीं दे पाता तो डीओ को बताना है, कमिश्नर ऑफ फूड सेफ्टी को बताना है कि क्यों नहीं रिपोर्ट दी गई है, और टाइम भी बताना है कि वो कब तक जो है रिपोर्ट प्रोवाइड हो जाएगी. हाउएवर इन केस द सैंपल कैनॉट बी एनालाइज्ड विद इन 14 days, द फूड एनालिस्ट शैल इन्फॉर्म द डीओ एंड कमिश्नर ऑफ फूड सेफ्टी गिविंग रीजंस and also to specify the time to be taken for the analysis. In case the report by the food analyst is alright, the matter ends. अगर रिपोर्ट जो फूड लिस्ट की है वो अगर सही है तो मैटर खत्म हो जाता है वहीं का वहीं. लेकिन इन केस ऑफ एडवर्स रिपोर्ट ऑफ द फूड एनालिसिस, द सेकंड पार्ट ऑफ द सैंपल इज सेंट टू द रेफरल फूड लैब, अर्लियर कार्ड सेंटर फूड लेबोरेटरी फॉर एनालिसिस, हुज डिसीजन ऑन एनालिसिस टेकन एज फाइनल. अगर एडवर्स रिपोर्ट आती है तो जो सेकंड पार्ट सैंपल जो कि कस्टडी में था डीओ के, वो रेफरल फूड लेबोरेटरी में भेजा जाता है टेस्टिंग के लिए. And there is no time limit that is specified for the analysis of sample at a referral lab. The third part of the sample is kept to meet the exigencies like damage, some damage, destruction, breakage on the way when first part of the sample is sent to the food analyst for analysis. The report of the food analyst on the first part of the sample stands superseded by the certificate issued by the director of referral lab on the analysis of the second part of the sample. Thus, the report of the food analyst on first part of the sample stands supersedes. So, final decision, फाइनल रिपोर्ट जो कि एप्लीकेबल होगी वो आपकी जो कि इशू होगी डायरेक्टर ऑफ रेफरल लैब के द्वारा, वही जो रिपोर्ट है वो मानी जाएगी. जो फूड एनालिस्ट की जो रिपोर्ट है उसको उसी प्रोसीड कर जाएगी. ओके, द फोर्थ पार्ट ऑफ द सैंपल विच इज गोट एनालाइज्ड एट द बीएस टू फूड बिजनेस ऑपरेटर at his cost by accredited lab is probably for the satisfaction of food business operator, which can be used in the case of controversy of the report of food analyst and this report given by accredited lab. Okay, so the fourth part of the sample which is got analyzed at the behest of the food business at his cost by accredited lab is probably for the satisfaction, for his satisfaction, which can be used in case of controversy of the report of food analyst, and this report can be given by accredited lab. Okay, now there are several food laboratories in the country where the first part of the sample is analyzed. The public health lab are there in every district, and almost each district has lab under the control of designated officer CMO. But now there are 22 referral labs are there in the country which are notified by FSSAI. All these referral take care of the requirements of the whole country area wise. So a particular area is there, then nearest referral lab the sample will be sent. So the second part of the sample, if the adverse report of the food analyst comes within that is he has to give in 14 days, then the third part of the sample is sent to the referral lab, and there are 2 referral labs which are notified, and the nearest referral which is there, the sample of the particular area are sent to the nearest referral lab. So this is how what is the procedure for the collection of analysis of the food samples. So food business operator, again repeating, the food administrator will collect the sample. It will divide it into 4 parts. First part will go to the food analyst who has to give the report within 14 days. Second and third will be under the custody of DO, and then fourth part will be sent to the accredited lab. Again, that is under intimation to the DO, and then this is on the request of the food business operator in case adverse report comes. Now, if the report from the food analyst is okay, then the matter ends. But if the adverse report is there, then second part will be sent to the referral lab by the DO, and then third part is to meet the any exigencies. if कोई डैमेज या ब्रेकेज या डिस्ट्रक्शन होता है सैंपल का, तो उसको हम ये फूड एनालिस्ट को भेजा जा सके, इसलिए तीसरा सैंपल रखा जाता है. और जो फोर्थ सैंपल है वो ओबियसली फूड बिजनेस ऑपरेटर की सेटिस्फेक्शन के लिए है, पेमेंट उसी को करनी है, और वो तब उसको यूज़ कर पाएगा उसके सेटिस्फेक्शन के लिए अगर कोई एडवर्स रिपोर्ट आती है. ओके, now preservative, obviously 14 days are there. Sometimes it may take 1 month, 2 months for the analysis for the sample to get finally reach to a decision. Then in the because that 14 days have been specified for the food analyst to give the report, but there is no time limit for the referral lab to give the report. So there is a need of preservative which can keep the sample for such a long time. Okay, so when food safety officer takes the sample of any food for analysis, he has to add a preservative so as to keep the sample in a condition suitable for preservative. Addition is required because otherwise the sample will get spoiled. Now preservative shall be a liquid commonly known as formalin, which is 40% solution of formaldehyde. It is to be added at 0.4%, and in the case of ice cream it is to be added at 0.6%. Okay, so FSSAI has allowed the use of formalin, which is 40% solution of formaldehyde, to be added in milk at the level of 0.4%, and for ice cream it is to be added at the level of 0.6% for the sample to be preserved for the analysis and for the final decision on the analysis or on the report on the results of the sample. Thank you.